Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. A lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. And it promises to be a cracker, as you're probably aware. Yep, tonight, before introducing our guests, Hein Marx of the ULA and General Izak of Boerelegioen, let me get that right, we are auctioning a painting during the live stream to raise funds for feed for livestock in fire-affected areas of the Free State. Let me just put that on the screen. I'll be putting this on the screen from time to time. Here we go. Beautiful, beautiful painting. The painting is by our resident artist, Lynn Ward. The title is Somewhere in the Karoo, Off the Grid. It's oils on canvas. The size is 60 centimeters by 42 centimeters. The starting bid is 1,750 Rand. Winners pay the charity BOERE Droogtehulp, and I've actually got their banking details down below this video in the description, so everything is there. The proceeds to go towards a livestock feed in fire-affected areas of the Free State. Okay, so let's get back to, I'm just going to minimize that for now and get it in place so that it's ready to keep on display. Right, okay. To bid, simply put your bid of any amount above 1,750 Rand or the current high bid in the side chat after the word painting. For people who do not know, are not known to this channel, we will ask you to send me a confirmation email. And if one of the moderators could just please put in my email address in the side chat, that'd be great. Now, the winner pays for postage, so please note, if you're overseas, the courier costs are exorbitant. This is just buyer beware. Marlena will manage the bids for the painting in the side chat, and obviously she'll be helped by the other moderators. Okay, tonight we're talking to two leaders well known to this channel. I've had several live streams with both of them. Hein Marx from the ULA and General Izak from Boerelegioen join us tonight to talk about South Africa, the future, and most important of all, working together going forward. In the same spirit, I'm extending a hand of friendship to other South African YouTube channels who are outraged by the corrupt ANC government. In these desperate times, we need to work together with a common purpose. Let me show you a clip from a video where the collaboration between Hein and Izak was first revealed publicly. This actually took place about a week ago today. Here we are.
Goeiedag mense, dis vandag donderdag die 15de Oktober. Ons is in Bloemfontein en ek is baie trots om vir julle aan te kondig dat 'n baie spontane situasie het ontstaan waar organisasies wat vroeër hulle eie ding gedoen het, ons almal saam staan en saamwerk wat uiters belangrik is in Suid-Afrika en wat heel moontlik deur hierdie Senekal situasie ontketen is en wat ons mense die dringendheid laat verstaan, hoekom ons moet saam staan, hoekom ons moet saamwerk en dat ons hierdie samewerking kan gebruik as die basis van ons vryheid en toekoms in die toekoms. En die toekoms in hierdie geval is nie baie lank nie.
Ek dink goeiemiddag almal. Ek dink dit is baie belangrik dat ons besef dat vrede, vryheid en veiligheid is in ons eie hande. En dit wat ons in verlede week by Senekal sien gebeur het, was 'n spontane ontplooiing van boere wat gatvol is. Boere wat moeg is, boere wat emosioneel is om te sien hoe dat families, vrouens en kinders voor oop graf te staan. En toe hierdie ding gebeur, dat leiers spontaan by mekaar gekom het, hulle het mekaar gebel en gesê, kom ons vorm 'n war room, waar ons strategies kan beplan, waar ons kan strategies besin oor twee goed. Die eerste ding is, dat ons mense ordelik optree. Dat hulle nie wet in eie hande neem nie. Want ons kan nie bekostig in Suid-Afrika dat ons mense toegesluit word. En ek dink een van die eise is die onregverdige arrestasie van meneer Pinaar verlede week. Ons almal het na die feite van die saak gekyk en ons dink die aanklagte, ons dink die klagtes van terrorisme en poging tot moord is totaal buite verband geruk. So ek hoop dat die staat het getuienis om te kan bewys dat meneer Pinaar wel 'n terroris is en dat hy wel poging tot moord gepleeg het.
Okay, there's a bit of the background to the collaboration between Hein Marx and General Izak FIRNZAJJ. Please remember to subscribe to the Loving Life channel to be kept informed and put your questions to the side chat, noting who they're directed to, i.e. Hein or Izak. And what really helps is if you put Loving Life, because that makes your questions stick out, so I can actually cut and paste it and present it to them later. Right, let me get our guests on. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to put up the painting for a moment so you can just admire it. Remember that all you have to do is put your bids into the side chat. Here we go. I'm going to try and get our guests on now. Izak a few minutes ago, so I guess he's just delayed for a few seconds. Okay, let me get Hein on and we'll get Izak again. Okay. Hein Marx. Hi, Hein.
Hi, Scott.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'll just get Izak on. Give me a second. So, how have you been keeping, Hein?
Busy, like always.
Right. Now, while I'm just waiting for Izak to join us, perhaps you can just tell us what's been happening with the ULA since we last spoke, because it was a while ago now, wasn't it?
Well, what's been happening? We've been pushing the the whole process of secession in terms of the law, we've been pushing more and more, and obviously also on the one hand, getting more and more mandates, but on the other hand, also doing other requirements in terms of the law. So yeah, we've been busy.
Right. Marlena, can you just see what's happening with Izak? If you can just give him a call, I'll just try him again. Izak FIRNZAJJ, not on this call. What's going on here? Izak FIRNZAJJ, unavailable. Let me just try him again. I hope they haven't got a power outage or something like that. Okay. All right. So, just continuing on, Hein. Well, there's a whole lot of stuff we're going to be talking about tonight, but I played a very short clip from that meeting you came out of with Izak, where for the first time you said, we're going to collaborate. You know the one I'm talking about. It was last Thursday when you came out of a meeting. Tell us about that. Tell us what actually happened. What was the catalyst for what developed or what transpired?
Well, the previous weekend, we had a ULA meeting, basically the whole weekend with our exco in South Africa and on Zoom with the people in New Zealand, America and England. And it was basically a planning meeting on, looking at moving forward on different levels and on different things. And one of the things that was obviously also very important at that stage was what happens about the whole Senekal thing that happened. And the Sunday, I was the one that made a hello, Izak.
Hi, Izak.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Yella. Sorry for this. We have a sort of electrical storm on its way, and our Wi-Fi was out.
Not a problem.
But it seems it's back now.
You're here. That's the main thing. Okay. Carry on, Hein. You were just telling us what actually happened.
Yeah, and then the decision was made that I said, well, why don't we get all the people that are leaders on, in fact, my words were still, it doesn't matter how big or small the even WhatsApp group is, to get together and start at least working and talking together. Yeah. And because of Izak and my own history, where we had lots of words with each other previously, irrelevant to the facts, somebody said, but Hein, if that's your suggestion, then we suggest that you phone Izak. I said, well, no problem. I picked up the phone and I said, Izak, it's Hein here. We've decided to have a meeting in Bloemfontein. Will you please attend? And he immediately jumped on my throat and, no, I'm just joking. He immediately said, absolutely.
I saw the look on Izak's face for a second there.
I've got to be careful now because he's got a heart attack. I don't want to give it to him again.
You know I'm a lie detector, no?
Actually, just talking about that, Izak, you're looking really well. So obviously your recovery is going well.
I think the adrenaline has got a lot to do with it.
Right. Now,
in any case,
yeah,
so Izak immediately said yes. And then that was that Sunday. And then I got on the phone with Ben Almeru, who I know has got a lot of contacts, and obviously because Bloemfontein is the closest geographically from all of us to him, I said, Ben, please call people and get them to attend the meeting that Thursday the 15th. And that's how everything started, because at the end of the day, how do they say, God's time is not our time. I suppose the ULA had to grow, and Boerelegioen had to grow before we got together, and it's actually a funny situation. As we sit here tonight, I can't tell you officially that we work with the Boerelegioen, but I accept that we work with them.
Now, Izak, over to you. What are your thoughts about the new collaboration?
Yeah, Scott, I was very surprised when Hein called me and invited me to a meeting because of, you know, I don't think me and Hein actually got the opportunity to speak directly with each other the past 2 years. And I think if we had a chance to sit in a wimpy and have a coffee together, I think the misunderstandings would have been sorted out within 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, the Boerelegioen is the Boerelegioen and the VVA is the VVA. And but I think at the end we are walking in exactly the same direction. We are striving for exactly the same goal, and that is self-determination, to be in a position where we can govern ourselves and not look into the faces and staan bakkant vir die ANC for almoese, jy weet. We are tired of that. We are tired to be marginalized. We are tired to be killed and murdered and raped. And the head of state of the Republic of South Africa is quiet. And when asked, what are you going to do? His cronies at the EFF tells the people who want to hear, everyone who want to hear, it's not of our concern. There is no need to prioritize murders of farmers, even though it's terrorist attacks. So yeah, I think what instigated the meeting is the fact that Brendan Horner was a very young man. The manner in which he was mutilated and killed, and while I was driving with one of my officers to Bloemfontein, I just got this very tense feeling of baie intensiewe gevoelens en emosies wat deur my gegaan het.
Yeah.
And when we was at the meeting, everything just came together, and within a few minutes, a press release was born, a memorandum was born, where we claimed and where we put in our claim that Mr. Pienaar, we are claiming that he must get bail.
Right.
And I think the message went out, and as a result of that, we saw that Mr. Pienaar and the fellow farmer of Senegal received bail. Even though I'm very shocked that a monster like those two guys, the two monsters in South Africa, they are nothing else than monsters.
Yeah.
They are nothing else than animals who killed Brendan Horner. One of them received bail of 5,000 rand only.
Well, we're actually going to discuss that
Where's
just in a second, Izak. We'll talk about that particular issue. Okay, sorry, carry on.
I don't want to jump the gun.
Yeah, it's okay.
But yeah, I'm very proud to say that me and Hein showed up, took the leadership upon ourselves to speak at least to the group of people who stood there around. There was no leadership. There was no one directing them. There was no one giving them some advice or direction. And I'm very glad what we did.
Yeah. No, I want to get to that in a second.
Despite all the criticism that we received.
Okay, now Wolfie has just said in the side chat, please tell General Izak our plot is on the R555. The storms hit us very hard since we aren't in town. P.S. General Izak, you are a hero. There you go. So I've passed the message on, Wolfie. Now, let's talk about Senegal last week, because you guys both made an impromptu address on the back of a bakkie. And there was clearly some misunderstanding about what was said. Do you want to clarify that, Izak?
Yeah, Scott, I don't for 1 minute want to believe that the misinterpretation of the whole message was deliberately done. I don't want to believe that.
Yeah.
I think that what was said was taken out of context. The message wasn't listened to any further, and the damage was done behind the bakkie minutes after I started to talk.
Right.
And I think there was no way of turning back, and they had to take it through the processes of trying to defend what was said and what was their interpretation of that. But I think what saved the day was the fact that there was several people who took
the whole message,
full-length videos, whole messages of the whole context of what happened.
Right.
And yes, I received many messages of people just telling me not to take it personally. What we did there was right. There's nothing wrong of what we said and how we said it. I think the statement that we made is that we are not hiding, we are not afraid, and we are not even afraid to march up and take up our right to demonstrate and to protest.
Right.
Even though we collided into a police barricade, and we were stopped actually, and the police were very adamant that they are not going to let us through. And yeah, as law-abiding citizens of this country, peaceful people, we are Boere people. We don't want to break the law and don't want to get in with the police. But I think that was very people walked, spoke to the police, and demanded our right to be adhered to. So yeah,
well, I have
think
to
the message
say,
went out.
I have to say, Isaac, that I put up a video on my channel which had the full video broken down into bits, and you could clearly say that the women and children must not come with us. I mean, that was made so clear. But I want to just bring up a comment that you made, Hein. You said at that same, on the back of the bakkie, that if civil war broke out, the ULA could declare unilateral declaration of independence, or UDI, like Ian Smith did. Now, how would you go about that?
Scott, I will categorically state the facts again. If a civil war breaks out, we can and will declare a unilateral declaration of independence. Now, the people that again took this out of context did it for, I don't know if it's what the purpose was.
It's called clickbait.
For trying to, well, for, I don't actually want to say it, but yes, I think that is part of the problem.
Yeah.
The point is it was for an own agenda, which was not stating the facts. That's why I said again, I state the facts categorically. We are here. The ULA has been working at the legal process of secession for 7 years. We've done massive amounts of work. We don't try and follow any clickbaits in any case. The reality is, and I meant that when I said it, and that's why I said it the third time tonight.
Yeah.
Then we can declare a unilateral declaration of independence, meaning, and in the way that I said it, again, and I think your video also made it very clear in the context, was that, guys, let's go and help our people. But you know what? If civil war breaks out, see the bright side of it, then we can declare unilateral declaration of independence. Now, you know, it's the old story. Isn't it interesting that the people that actually made comments about it were people that wasn't there?
Yeah.
Isn't that always exactly the same story? The people that, and I mean, yeah, Izak was the one that actually was attacked much more than I was attacked. But it's interesting that most people that attacked him, one guy lit the fire against Izak and myself for that matter, but one guy lit it, and then suddenly a lot of, well, it's not actually a lot, but a couple of people jumped onto the wagon and just tried to burn everything down, not understanding the whole picture. And that includes some of the people that was there. And I'm just wondering, where were they? Because you must also understand the context of those messages, those being on the back of the bakkie. Remember, it wasn't, Izak and myself weren't on the bakkie and giving one speech there. We've been there for, I don't know, I think at least at least 3 hours, with every now and then somebody getting on the bakkie and saying something, and then at one stage the people wanted to go. They wanted to go with all force. And we said, whoa, stop, wait. You know, basically what Izak said, you know, we remember one thing, that group of people that was there, it wasn't the Boerelegioen, or it wasn't the ULA. It was literally a group of people made up, and I would say, and Izak, you can help me, right, but I would say more than 90% of those people were actually just normal people coming in from wherever, Cape Town, East London. There was a black from East London, Peter, that actually, that actually drove with me. From Johannesburg, Pretoria, all over the show. They didn't have any leadership. Now, I mean, if you really want chaos, then as a totally unorganized group of people, you will have chaos when they just go down and confront the police.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the perfect atmosphere for the perfect storm of chaos. That's what you don't want. So instead of, and I must say it, I'm sorry, I've got to say it, instead of thanking Izak and myself, they thought it's actually very good perhaps to get a couple of clickbaits to attack us. Totally out of context. And it's sad because at the end of the day, the whole idea, the whole concept of, in the first place, being at the Bloemfontein meeting the previous day, the whole day, but also being at Senekal, was to show unity. To show unity not only with our own people, but also to show unity with the Horner boy that was murdered. And it's so sad that people, and that's, I suppose, that's human nature, wants to use any situation for their own advantage. Forget about how they cause in the process total disunity and people being difficult with each other, and you know, getting people again totally exactly the opposite that we wanted, away from each other.
Right.
It's unnecessary, and that's sad.
Yeah.
I'm not angry as I sit here tonight with anybody, including whoever, no names. I'm not angry. I just feel sorry that happened, because I know why we were there. I know that Izak knows why we were there. We were there for unity. We were there to show absolute solidarity as the group of people, which, by the way, included, I think it was more than one black, coloreds, and obviously mostly Europeans.
I had Sito on my live stream earlier this week. Now, before we just cover some other aspect of that, Hein, I just want to address the people watching. We got well over 1,000 people watching us right now. But please remember to subscribe to the Loving Life channel to be kept informed. And if you have questions to ask, please put them into the side chat. And don't forget, guys, there's this beautiful painting we're auctioning. And the funds are going directly to BOERE Droogtehulp to help the farmers who are in distress because of the fires. There's a painting. I see the bid at the moment is 5,000 Rand. Come on, we can do a lot better than that, guys. Let's get the bids in for this, shall we? Okay, now let's get back to the ULA. I'm just going to put a map up on the screen. This is from your website, which is actually linked in the description below this video, Hein. Now, what I've got is a map which shows South Africa and a whole lot of regions in different colors going right up to near Gauteng in the blue. Is this the area that you would declare under UDI if a civil war broke out?
Well, that's the area that we've defined in terms of international law, where the minority is actually the majority. So in terms of our legal basis, that's the basis of our legal argument, that is where the minority is the majority. Yes, that is the map. I can't see it, but I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a map from your page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay, let me just see here. Hein, would minority groups from other parts of South Africa be given a window of opportunity to move down to the Cape if civil war broke out, because they wouldn't actually technically be within that area that I've just shown?
Scott, well, obviously, that depends on the intensity of a civil war.
Yeah.
From our point of view, and I think from any person's point of view, we will obviously welcome everybody of the minorities to come into that area with a speed. Yeah, but in the same sense, depending on the intensity of a civil war, which again, people don't, and this is the other problem, people don't like to hear the word war. I don't know what they want us to call it. A sub-A party, it's not. It is a civil war, and no war, but specifically a civil war, is not a joke. But if you don't prepare for it, Sun Tzu, the famous Chinese general, said 2,000 years ago, whatever it was, he said, it's only a fool that wants to go to war, but it's a bigger fool that doesn't prepare for a war. Now, the reality is, do we have to prepare for a war as we are here? Yes, of course we have to. If we're not, we're stupid. Look at South Africa. The person that doesn't see this is living somewhere in La La Land or is smoking something very heavy, because even that day in Senekal, they were singing Kileboer.
Yeah.
They were also singing burn them, stuff like that. And literally 3 days later, the fire started in the Free State. So the people that are still asleep must wake up. Their coffee is cold already. Am I saying that we want a civil war? Of course we don't want a civil war. I was in the army for 3 years. I've been in more than one contact in my life, believe me, and that is not even a civil war. There's a massive difference between a contact between a conventional army and a terrorist group and being in a civil war situation in your own country. Nobody wants it. But so why? Because we don't want it, we don't have to prepare for it. That's stupid. We've got to start opening our eyes. Everybody, and I mean, again, I shouldn't even talk about this. Izak should talk about this. The reality is that there are many groups, including Boerelegioen, that have warned the people and are still warning people all the time. Prepare, prepare, prepare. And then you talk to people, individuals on street level, and you find out, no, they're not preparing. Why? Because it's only the Hein Marxes and the stupid Izak van Zyls that say, or the Boerelegioen that say prepare. The people don't understand what we are in for. I don't know if they don't understand what happened in Zimbabwe, or for that matter, in the Namibian or Southwest Angolan war. And if they don't understand that, they can go to the north of Mozambique today, and they will start seeing what it looks like. Yeah.
Now, look, I want to put that same question to Izak, but I want to broaden it a bit, Izak, if you just want to address what Hein was talking about. But also the inflammatory comments that were being made by the EFF on that stand at Senekal. I mean, they are clearly wanting to foster a civil war in South Africa, aren't they? What are your thoughts on that?
Scott, all I can say is that the EFF and the hostile organizations, and even the ANC, and I see it day by day, I experienced it for more than 17 years in the New South Africa.
Right.
How most of those people driven by the communist ideology hates white Christians with a passion. And when the journalist asked that guy, that leader of the EFF, are you also here to give your support to the family of Mr. Horner? Are you also here to protest against farm murders? the way he answered that question, it's not of our concern.
Yeah.
And it's a problem for us that the government want to prioritize farm murders. The way in which he said it and the way Malema spoke on a day which was supposed to be a day to mourn another killing of a white farmer by black gangs. There was the uttermost disrespect in his referrals to white people, in his referrals to the occasion which was set aside to protest against farm murders. So I think we are ready, and I want to agree with Hein. The war started when de Klerk given this land away. When Nelson Mandela took the presidency, the war against the white people started. And I can go back to what Mbeki said, I think during 1997 at Orlando Stadium. And I'm going to quote him that he will not rest until the white people is in the squatter camps and the people in the locations and the squatter camps will be settling in the towns. And that is the national democratic revolution that they are driving, and they will not stop. Even the mere fact that we showed a little bit resistance, all that we did on Friday is to push back a bit. We didn't resist. We didn't attack them. We didn't challenge them. We just pushed it back a little bit. And as a result of that, the Free State is on fire. All over the country, there's protest actions. And that will not stop unless we as a people agree that our safety, our survival is at stake, and that we need to prepare, and that we need to come in under a military command and control. And when I say that, I don't mean that we have to go declaring war now. But to be under command and control, ensure that the loose cannons doesn't jump out. And that brings me to the context in which I said, if one police officer, if one bullet is fired from a police officer's gun and kill or shoot one farmer that was protesting peacefully, it's not me going to start a war. I will give direction. But do you think for one moment that the BOERE people will allow that and not start a war themselves? And that is what we want to prevent, is that there's a clash of the clans which is uncontrolled. And Julius Malema is driving for that. He calls it the unleaded war. An unleaded war, where the people against people, white against black. And that is what we want to prevent. Well, if we say we are already in a civil war, it took Egypt and his allies 13 years during the Yom Kippur War to prepare. And even though they prepared, their boots are still in the desert today.
Right.
So war is an ugly thing. We don't want war. But the Bible says, if you want peace, prepare for war.
Right. Now,
especially in a country where the residents, where the different communities, especially the black and Nguni communities, are hostile against the whites. They hate the whites for some or other reason, even though they are for 25 years, 26, 7 years along the line, they are in government, they are ruling the country. And still they hate this little tiny minority in the south point of South Africa with a passion, and we don't know why. I would like some answers on that.
Right. Okay, now I just want to keep on with what's happening in Senegal. And I want to really get into the justice system now, because there's something very inequitable happening when it comes to bail. Just as an example, I'm just going to put an image up on the screen. People can have a look at it. You know, it kind of sums up the situation. What I'm talking about here, and I'd like Hein to kick off with this a response to this. Sekwetche Malamba alleged murderer of Brendan Horner, is out on 5,000 rand bail. Andre Pina, alleged of damaging property and crazy charges, which you guys can talk about, 15,000 rand bail. Then finally, we have Angelo Agrisi, who is near dead, who has been refused bail and been kept alive under guard by 9 police in a private hospital. 9 police watching over a guy who's nearly dead. He had a heart attack on Wednesday. As an ex-policeman, let's start with you, Izak. As an ex-policeman, what are your thoughts on this inequitable form of justice?
I think when you go to the giving of bail, people look like stuff, for instance, income.
We seem to have lost Izak for a
Not,
second.
So worried about the fact that this guy received 5,000 rand bail and the white guy 15,000 rand. I don't know what is the difference and the disparity between the different statuses of the two people. I think that plays quite a role. But we will have to follow this whole court case in order to see whether justice is served when it comes to sentencing and giving sentences. I'm of the opinion that we are going to see more or less the same type of scenario than the Coffin 2, where those guys didn't do much to get
Right.
11 and 13 years old a length of service sentence. Yeah, that is the disparity we are looking in the justice system, and we will follow this case very, very carefully and see whether these murderers are going to get life sentence. According to me, they have to rot in jail.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Pinar, who was actually, according to me, emotional victim of a system in South Africa which created the climate for white people to become angry and to become even violent.
Right. Now, I'm picking up some questions here in the side chat. Guys, just to let you know, I'm cutting and pasting them, so they're not getting lost. They're just here on the side. I'll bring them in the second part of this discussion with Hein and with Izak. Now, Hein, do you have a statement you'd like to make regarding this inequitable bail?
I'm glad you mentioned it, because during the last week, I didn't say a word on social media, not a word, because I'm not going to get into mudslinging with people that weren't there. But I just want to mention it in terms of your whole view of, calling the whole thing of the inequity of the law. And I've got to start at when we were there last Friday. I've got to make it very clear that my perception of the police line, the police colonel that was in charge of them there, the police adjutant that was there, they were all very professional. I can't say that there was any problem. In fact, we had 2 instances where I had to go and talk to two of our guys that, if I say our guys, I'm talking about the protesters. I don't know the people at all. To say, whoa, stop. The police is not your enemy. Stop this. But with that in mind as well, I don't know what exactly happened, but somebody got into a conversation with a colonel. I don't even know if it was you, Izak. I really can't remember. And this colonel said, well, you must understand one thing, because at that stage, or before that, I spoke to them a couple of times where I said, guys, I want to go to court. I want to be in court. And they refused. They refused us any access to court. Now, that alone to me is wrong, because if we weren't allowed in there, what the hell was Malema doing there?
And we're sitting next to Becky Seller.
Exactly. So that already made me a bit itchy. Then he came up with this police colonel came up with, yes, but you must understand, in terms of Article 9, it's like a parrot that got just one bit of the law. In terms of Article 9, everybody, referring to the EFF at this stage, everybody's got the right to protest. I said, whoa, that was the first and the only time that I went against the police. I said, listen, Colonel, stop. You are totally wrong, because if you want to use Article 9 of the Constitution, then you've got to turn around now and go and arrest Malema. If Pienaar was arrested for what he did, Malema should have been in jail long ago. So let's not try and eye blind each other here. And I'm talking about not us here, I'm talking about the listeners. The reality is the justice system is totally against us. And the person that does not understand that there's 114 reversed apartheid laws against us compared to before 1994, only 11 apartheid laws, well, wake up. The justice system is against us. And specifically what happened in Senekal, why were we not allowed to go to court? We wanted to be in court. I wanted to be in court. That's one of the reasons why we were there. We were denied. So the whole thing about the justice system is a joke. And here I'm not blaming that police colonel, because they were very professional. It's just a pity that he doesn't really understand what he was telling us.
Yeah.
Article 9. Article 9 refers to equal treatment of everybody in this country. Now, we all know that that's total nonsense. There is no equal treatment.
And now, Isaac, you wanting...
That's the
Sorry, carry on.
People don't ask. Sorry. The question that people don't ask, what were we doing there? We were doing two things there. Not a secret. We were there for the Horner family.
Yeah.
And secondly, we were there because we were challenged to go toe-to-toe to Malema. Now, the next thing is, Malema was never there. He never went toe-to-toe with us. He was protected by, well, we know I think it was 25 police vehicles that brought him in.
That's crazy.
That's the next question. Where does the money come from? Well, we know it's tax money, but 25 vehicles to so-called protect him. Why does he need protection if he's got approximately 4,000 of his so-called supporters there? And again, is it really his supporters? Or have we already proved that most of those people didn't know what they were doing there? They were given T-shirts, dacha, and food.
And I think 50 rand each.
Yeah, and some money. I don't know why, but how much. But where does that money come from?
Yeah.
Where's the government in this provocation of the EFF? But they want to lock up Pienaar for basically standing up for his right to protest as well. Scott, this is so imbalanced in this country. That's why I say people must start waking up. They must wake up to the reality of this criminal government that we've got.
Right.
It's a criminal government. Ramaphosa was the one that told the world in America there are no farm murders. Malema, shame, the poor thing, said it on last Friday as well. There are no farm murders. He's trying to play politics, but he doesn't even know how to do that. He doesn't understand the reality that whatever comes out of his mouth is not believed by the whole world. The ANC and this corrupt, and if I say ANC, that includes the EFF. There's enough evidence that the ANC actually supports the EFF financially. Yes, this I'm saying in public, because we've got proof that they support them. Funny enough, not directly, indirectly. People must start opening their eyes. We are not in a secure country anymore. We are being systematically murdered, pushed out of the economy, belittled, arrested, and totally made victims for no reason. it doesn't stop. I can go on with examples like this forever. We don't have enough time. It doesn't stop. You were talking about this whole conversation now is about the legal system. The legal system does not work because it's 100% totally used against the minorities, and that minorities includes all the brown or colored people.
Yeah.
Go and look the poverty that they live in because they were pushed out of their jobs as well. It's ridiculous what's happening. And then still the world sits back and says, well, it's not our problem. I suppose they're going to say the same when it becomes a Rwanda. Well, let me give the world a bit of a surprise. This will not be a Rwanda. I suppose they will rush to South Africa when a civil war breaks out and their poor darlings start heaping up. That's the reality. And those were my words to Antonio Guterres. It's your responsibility, Mr. Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, to look after these things, and they're not doing it.
Now, don't you think, Hein, that one of the big problems is the fake mainstream media who refuse to report on what's going on in South Africa? And that's why the alternative media is so important. But before you answer that question, I just want to ask Izak. Izak, is there something you'd like to add on the subject that Hein was talking about?
Yeah, I think what was very clear there, the information was received beforehand, and even when the police stopped the buses, there was quite a lot of loads of firearms being confiscated by the police. And very strange that no numbers were made known. But the video materials we studied and analyzed showed me that there was AK-47s and there was automatic weapons being confiscated by the police. So the intention of the EFF to come to Senekal was to meet the Boere toe to toe.
Right.
And I want to make a comment that they were not there to protect the state against the violent Boere. They wanted to create an incident. They wanted to create a situation of conflict so that there is civil war. So it's not us that want civil war, it's them. And we are not giving them the satisfaction at this stage. But I can guarantee Mr. Malema and I can guarantee Mr. Ramaphosa that there will be a time, and it's not far. We as Boere people will accept that invitation, and where we will be ready to confront them with the same force and even on the same level that they are attacking us since 1994, killing our people on farms, killing our innocent women and children. And we must pray that there will not ever be a day in future where the Boer saboteur will start to operate. And it's not me saying so. It's not me saying so. I see the tendencies amongst our people, especially the young Boere, the young people. They are fed up, they are tired, and they are becoming more and more militant. And if those people are not going to be controlled, we are going to experience situations in South Africa where I want to preek, or wat is it, ek wil voorspel dat ons terroriste groepe gaan kry opereer. Terrorist groups that are going to start operating. And then there's war. There will be war.
Yeah.
Because it becomes more and more difficult to contain the normal young men who are witnessing the inequalities, the unfairness, and the mismanagement of this country. And they are not stupid. Our people are not stupid. And they are going to take necessary measures in near future. I'm seeing it happen. I'm hearing the people talk to correct the imbalances in society. And that's why we warned Mr. Ramaphosa at several occasions in the past. We issued warnings, we delivered memorandums, and we told them in public, please start to govern this country in a fair manner. please start to see all the people and not just the black people. Please start to treat everyone equally. Do away with affirmative action. Do away with BBEE. Do away with this Equity Act. Because you cannot create a balance in society with a minority group who are consisting of 10% of the whole society and marginalizing them, that only 1% of them getting jobs at the end of the day.
Right.
That's the imbalance. And the people are not going to immigrate anymore. I think the young people are here to stay and they are going to correct the situation.
Right.
And I hope that I'm still alive when that happens, so that we can sort of manage these people, this young men and women who are fed up.
Okay, well, just for the record, we've got over 1,600 people watching at the moment. And just to those people, please remember to subscribe to the Loving Life channels. We have some really exciting live streams most nights of the week at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time. Now, there was a question from Charlotte, which I think you've now explained, Hein. And her question was, why didn't you confront Beke and Malema in the court that day? Well, clearly that's because they wouldn't let you in. Now, I want to get back to the question that I asked you earlier, and that is about the fake mainstream media and the role that they're playing in hiding what's going on in South Africa. And in particular, that sort of sinister scenario which is starting to take South Africa back to what was happening 80 years ago in Germany. That, you know, we're moving in that area. What are your thoughts on first the media and then what I've just said?
Scott, you know, I was talking about this yesterday with somebody. If you spoke about so-called conspiracy theories, or you spoke about fake media, or the Illuminati, or all those kind of conversations a year ago, people laughed at you, and when you spoke about it, you also weren't 100% sure yourself. But we know in the meantime that it's 100% true. In fact, we also even know now who most of those Illuminati and New World Order people are. We know that. So let's not go into the detail of that. The person that doesn't know it hasn't read an article on Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever at all. So we know that. So in the light of that, I want to say, you talk about the fake media. I would rather call them the media. Well, you know why? Because now we know we don't have to call them fake media. They're fake in any case. Isn't it interesting that the so-called mainstream media all over the world is fake in any case?
Yeah.
Because it comes back to the whole New World Order agenda. Again, I don't want to go into that, but we all know, in fact, I think it was last week that the World Health Organization, I don't know why they've done it. I suppose some of them are scared to go to jail now, have now admitted that it was a massive mistake, all this lockdown.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that interesting? That came out, and then the fantastic, highly intelligent, highly trained people in the South African government decided to extend even the lockdown period. You know, I've got no other words for this. If you're stupid, you're stupid. Alternative, if you've got another agenda, that's what you do.
Yeah.
But you know how sad it is if you've got another agenda and you're stupid. You know what happens then? Then you join the ANC in government.
Yeah. Well,
this is the thing that we're sitting with. Sorry?
Yeah, I think that there is another agenda. I think it's political. I think that's what this lockdown is all about. Now,
absolutely. And this is why I say that, you know, we talk about fake media.
Yeah.
Mainstream media all over the world has been proven in the past 7 months that they are controlled politically and stroke financially by the New World Order masters.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. It's not 7 or 8 months ago where we wonder, and if we, you know, talk about it around a braaivleis fire, that there's an Illuminati or a New World Order thing. Now we know it's a fact. And this is, again, this just proves and make my point of organizing ourselves and preparing even so much more important. People don't want to see it. I mean, I meet people, I would say, literally every day. And it's sad, but it's people that are intelligent, that wants to walk with their head in the sand. They don't want to see the reality because the reality is too ugly to recognize. And this reality is that we are on a massive speed, running, flying, whatever you want to call it, heading for a massive disaster in this country. Right. How this is going to turn out will only depend on us, our belief in God Almighty, and in the process, the preparation of our people to survive.
Right. Now, do you want to add anything to that, Izak, about the fake news and perhaps the importance of the alternative media? Because you've got a YouTube channel called BOERE, is it called Boerelegioen, isn't it? Your YouTube channel.
Boerelegioen Media, yeah. Yeah, Hein Marx is the politician. I think he says a lot, and he covered almost the whole spectrum. Because while he's talking, I try to think of what to say, and then he already says it. So, I just want to add by saying that the whole global agenda is going to instigate lots of chaos also, not only in Europe and in America and in England, but also in South Africa. And hopefully Donald Trump will win the elections, and hopefully he will start the process of getting rid of the deep state, because those are the people who are driving the agendas. Those are the people who are driving racism, black on white racism, the BLM and the Antifa movements. Yeah. And they are the people who are creating atmospheres and climates in different countries for civil war. We have to make ready. I spoke to my dad last night. He was a general in the apartheid police. He was one of the last police generals. I'm proud that he's still alive. He became 80 years old this year, and he shared lots of wisdom last night in a live chat I had with him on Boerelegioen Media. And he said, and he made an appeal to the people, and not only to the veterans, not only to the people who have police and defense force experience. He made an appeal to all citizens of the white minority in South Africa, even the brown minority and the Indian minority, to get yourself under command and control, because we are heading for a head-on clash with these people. And if we want to survive extinction, we have to fight back in an organized manner. Right. And the only way that we can fight back in an organized manner is to become a people's army. And if I say a people's army, I speak about the rank structure, I speak about discipline, I speak about command and control, and I speak about training. Training. And not veterans, not security people, not people who are even in the Buurtwag and the GPFs and all those people only. Every citizen of the white minority and the brown minority and the Indian minority will have to come and report for duty if we want to survive if what's coming. He told the people last night, he comes along with communism and the Rooi Gevaar and everything since 1959. He knows these people. We are not learning from history. We don't realize our young.
You gotta love the internet. Okay, I think we've got a bad connection. I know he's got a thunderstorm there. I just want to, while we're waiting for Izak to come back, don't you find it extraordinary, Hein, that people like Ace Magashule and Julius Malema are not behind bars?
No. I don't find it strange at all. How can they be behind bars if everybody in the government is involved in corruption? It's impossible. Because if one is behind bars, the rest must be as well. So the one is protecting the other one. Scott, I don't think the people really understand how corrupt this government is. Sad is not even a word. It's worse than that. I mean, Izak happens to be one of the ones that stole hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not billions. Earlier today, there was somebody here, and there was an article again about I think it was 2.5 billion rand that disappeared again. And my question to this person was, do you know how much 1 billion rand is? And he looked at me and said, it's 1 billion rand. I said, no. Do you realize how much it is? And he said, no, it's a lot of money. I said, I'll tell you how much it is. And I work with money. I've been a businessman for 40 years. I said, I don't know how much it is. But let's work out how much it is. And I took the calculator. And this is the reality. Took a calculator and I said, let's say you take 1 billion rand. And I want this to sink in with people. This is the reality happening in this country. When money disappears now, it's in the billions, and it's just another figure to everybody. But then again, we know that most of them can't even pronounce the figures of 1 billion. And I said, let's just make a very simple calculation. If you get only 6% interest at the bank, everybody can go and do the calculation now. 6% interest on 1 billion rand means
it's about 60 million, isn't it?
No. Well, yeah, 5 million rand
Wow.
per day.
A day?
Is it? No, sorry, per month. It's what I'm trying to tell you is, here I'm sitting, again, I did the calculation earlier. It's so much money that it's hard to actually comprehend the figures that they steal. And that's 1 billion. That's only 1 billion. How many billions have they stolen? Scott, this country, no country in the world, no business in the world, and a country is nothing else than a business, can survive if you steal too much. It's impossible.
Well, they've destroyed South Africa.
The reality is, and let me say this in public, it was about 20 years ago, perhaps less, 20, somewhere around there. I was quite good friends with Louis Luyt. Louis Luyt once told me, actually he said it more than once, he said, Hein, I give the ANC 20 to 25 years and they will collapse. I said, why? Because that's too long. You don't want to think that far ahead. Why 20, 25 years? He said, because they're creating a middle class by pushing the whites and the coloreds out. And it's not sustainable what they're doing. Now, rest his soul, he died a couple of years ago. But the reality is we're exactly in that time.
Right.
It's not sustainable what they're doing. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand. It doesn't matter how big your business is. In this case, the country is, how rich it is. You can bankrupt any business or country if you steal too much. This is stealing this country to pieces. And what is the well, we know the cause of it, so let's not go into that. But what will be the effect of stealing it bankrupt?
Yeah.
The effect will be that the masses, because that's what Louis Luyt said as well, the masses will start basically standing up against the ANC government. At this stage, and this is why I don't think we are there yet, the masses will start standing up against the ANC government. They will start protesting because they're not getting what they were promised many years ago. And secondly, there won't be enough money for their SASSA grants anymore.
Once
they don't get... Exactly. Once that... at the moment, I think the figure is somewhere around 18.2 million people that get SASSA grants.
Wow.
what do you think will happen if that money isn't paid?
Yeah.
That means, and we all know that it's not one person that lives from one payment. There's more than one that lives from it.
Yes.
But let's be very, very conservative about this. Remember one thing. If they don't get that money, there's a minimum of 18.2 million people that doesn't have money for food. We know there's much more, but at least 18.2 million. How is the government going to control that? But you see, they don't think of it like that, because they don't, you know, we have a saying, and we all know it, that people can't think further than their noses.
Yeah.
As long as their pockets are full, and this is what I also don't understand, when is your pocket full of money? It's never enough for them. They don't stop stealing. There's no other word for it. Don't try and sugarcoat it. It's stealing, it's corruption, it's blatant theft. And it's basically stealing money from other people.
Yeah.
The money doesn't belong to them. This can't carry on like this. The moment that that money can't be paid, there will be massive, massive, massive unrest in this country. And if they think that the whole police force and the whole, call it the pink slipper army force, because that's the picture that I see when I think of this South African National Defence Force. The colonel that walked into a supermarket a couple of years ago with a uniform on with pink slippers and curlers in the hair. That's the army that we've got. If they think that that army and the police force will contain, and I'm only talking about the 18 million people that doesn't get their SASSA money anymore. Well, I've got a surprise for them coming, because that is what you actually call a civil war. That's what you call a civil war.
Yeah.
Now, again, let me just say something in public here as well. The United Nations unofficially see KwaZulu-Natal already as a civil war district of South Africa. Why? Because of the murders, nothing else. The killings, murders, killing of each other. The one that's on the list behind KwaZulu-Natal is the Cape Flats. The Cape Flats at this stage, they talk about in the region of 38 killings per day. It's massive. Do we really understand what's happening in this country? No, we don't. But why don't we understand it? Because the mainstream media does not report on it. Why? Because they may not. Why don't they? Because they're paid not to do it. Who permits them, or who prohibits them from doing it? The police that are basically the government. Scott, South Africa is in big trouble. Big trouble. And people don't understand it. And people don't see it. In fact, to use your words, they would rather go for clickbaits and make another couple of cents than to stand together and fight this government.
Yeah.
People don't understand that the government has got zero power, zero, if we stand together. But it's much easier to fight with each other and in the process make money. Because perhaps they might be able to buy another beer or another bottle of brandy or whatever it is.
Well, there's one great truth, Hein, and that is that you can't eat banknotes.
Yeah.
You can't eat banknotes. So you need food. Now, I want to get back to Izak now. Izak, are you able to tell us how you are going to collaborate with Hein going forward? Is that something you can talk about publicly, or is it something you'd rather keep quiet?
Scott, I think we are quite open about our cooperation with every organization or institution or political party who are striving for self-determination. We're offering ourselves as a military support. That is what we are doing.
Right.
And that is our point of view from the start. And that's what I told Hein long back, that you can do a secession, but at the end you will have to think about the military. And what we are doing now is not building a military with artillery and machinery and warfare machines and whatever. We are getting the boots on the ground, the trained people to be available whenever they are needed, and whenever a UDI is called, and whenever the organization who are striving for self-determination wants a specific
Okay, I think the storm is catching us here. Hein, do you just want to respond to that while we wait for Izak to get back?
Yeah, I would actually like Izak to hear this, because I actually wanted to react to it earlier. You said earlier, I'm a politician. No, I'm not a politician, people. I don't want to be a politician. I'm a businessman, but I'm a concerned citizen. That's what I am.
Right.
In terms of working with this, Izak, we went on because I think your storm
your
kicked you
internet
up.
fell out.
it kicks me off every now and then, so I don't know what's happening here. Sorry for that.
Let's go back to you,
Yeah, no
Izak.
Yeah, we are giving support for all self-determination groups, and I think Hein is one of the biggest organizations of the ULA. And whenever they need our help and assistance and the military support and safety support to safeguard the communities, we will be there. And we are available, and we offered our support also by
Oops, we got the same problem. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking some of the questions that have been put in the side chat, and there's one here for you, Hein. It's from David Hansen, and he says, at Hein, why should we only want a part of our country when we arrived here almost 70 years before they did? And how does Sina van Rensburg's letter predictions work into the ULA's plans?
Okay, is it David?
Yeah, David Hansen, yeah.
Yeah, David. Firstly, the ULA is an organization doing an international legal process. Now, any legal process in the world, and specifically in terms of secession, must be based on the guidelines, in this case, of international law on secession. Now, I'm totally with you, David, that the areas that we've identified as the areas that we want to secede in is much smaller than we are supposed to get. Unfortunately, we need a legal base to do it on. And the legal base that we use, which, by the way, there are different legal bases that you can use, but you can only use one, is that we are the majority in the area. And unfortunately, because of the history of South Africa and because of also the mistakes that was made earlier, we are not in the majority in those other areas. So unfortunately, we don't have a choice. But I also want to make this clear, and this is also international law. International law says you've got to define your area. You've got to define the area where your so-called group of people want to secede in. But it goes further than that, and it says the area that you've defined, your borders, does not have to be the final borders. That is very important, because that means, let's say, for instance, and I think Heidelberg, Transvaal, where Izak is staying at this stage, well, I know, falls outside of the area. But let's say, for instance, Izak gets all the people in the area to say, well, we're not prepared to move. This is our area. This is where my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and back to 18 whatever, were farming where there were virtually no blacks. And we all know that that's a fact. But unfortunately, in terms of current legislation, the legal basis that we use say we can only use with the majority. Then Izak goes and he talks to a lot of people around him, and they say, well, when this happens, we will secure our area and incorporate it into the area where the legal process of the ULA have defined that area. and then it is totally 100% acceptable in terms of international law. And this is my perception of it. I'm not saying that that's how it was written, the law on secession, but I personally think that the law was written like that specifically for the expansion of Israel, which have proved that they've expanded. Well, at one stage they were more than 12 times the size they were earlier, and then they gave the Sinai back to Egypt quite simply because they didn't want all the buried boots that Izak was referring to earlier. But there's no sense in keeping the Sinai because it's a very vast area to protect, and there's basically nothing. But that's the bottom line. So I hope that answers David's question.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Set Apart has just said, Shalom from Israel. I, for one, am very happy to see ULA and Boerelegioen working together. We truly need our people to come together. Salute from the horsefly, whoever the horsefly is. Now, Izak, you were just talking to us. So do you want to continue? It seems like your internet has settled down now.
Yeah, I think for some other reason my phone overheats, so then it kicks me off and then I can join when it cools off a bit. So I don't know what, if it doesn't have enough water in, but yes. What Hein said is very important, and when we speak about our historic towns, and whenever the ULA can succeed in seceding the area they demarcated, then it will be much easier for the surrounding towns. Even every town in South Africa has got a historic or a history where the farmers came together and started a town with all the museums and old buildings and stuff like that to become part of the bigger picture. So yeah, I agree with you on that point. And as I said, the Boerelegioen is a Volkswehrmacht, and we are the military support and the safety support for all efforts to try to get our people free, to get our people safe, and to get our people filled with peace. I think that is the main thing, that we want peace in our land. It's our country. We inherited this country. And I think what we need is to create a piece of earth where we can live in peace with each other and not in conflict with other people who doesn't want us here.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, now I've got a comment here by Stephen Volschenk, and I do need to respond to this. He says, why don't you allow ULA to leave their mandate website address here? Is Loving Life supporting, or is this program purely to grow your channel? Well, on the first question, if you have a look at the description below this video, you'll see it says register your ULA mandate, and it's got the website address for the ULA Congress. Now that's a far more important place to have the website address than in the side chat. So that is very, very prominent, and it's been up there from before we started the live stream. So I hope that answers the other question, the first question. But Hein, just take us back. You've been on this channel a couple of times in live streams. How has it benefited your project when you've actually had a live stream with Loving Life?
Well, Scott, you know, at the end of the day, talking about your so-called fake media or mainstream media, we know that it's impossible for us to advertise and get any space and time on media in South Africa. So obviously, to get our message out to our people is through social media. And every time, and I remember the last time that I was on with you, you still told me later and even wrote me an email that was the highest amount of people that was live at one stage. I think it was about 1,700 people, I think. It
was about 1,700, yeah.
Yeah. So sure, absolutely. I mean, it's fantastic for us to have the opportunity always to get the message out of what we're doing. Unfortunately, people don't understand the whole process of secession because it's a new concept, obviously. I don't expect everybody to understand what secession is about. And therefore it's important for us. And therefore it's important for us to not only bring the message out, but to bring it out to your channel, which specifically targets the minority in South Africa, to bring the message out that we all know there's a problem. But what the ULA is doing is we say we all know about the problem, but we concentrate on the solution. And the solution, and I mean, I've been involved in this for long enough to have looked at this from every angle possible. There is no other solution. You know, last Friday in Senegal, the Reuters guy came to me for an interview, and he was actually quite informed and asked me very, very valid questions. And every time it came back to give me another solution than secession.
Right.
There is no other solution. Quite simply because this problem in South Africa will not go away if the minorities in South Africa is always suppressed. And then the question, because I've got to say this, the question is, will the ANC government or the EFF government, call them whatever you want to, will they ever change their attitude towards the minorities? Well, ever is a very long time, but for sure in my lifetime up until now, and therefore looking into the future from a very, call it critical point of view, looking at the realities of the problems we've got, then it's very clear, absolutely not. In fact, it is getting worse literally. I would say the last month or so, literally by the week. I'm sure a lot of people will say by the day, but let's rather say by the week, it's getting worse. Now, why would it suddenly change? When are people's eyes going to open? So to answer your question, Scott, absolutely. And in fact, that's one of the things that I read a lot of times on your streams, is that people are very glad for you, even sitting in Australia, getting the message out that people understand that by complaining about the problem is not enough. We've got to look at the answer. And yeah, I've said it a million times. If anybody can come up with a better solution than secession or the so-called American term two-state solution, I'd love to hear about it. From my side, Scott, thank you very much for bringing that out. It's very important.
Right. Now, are you there, Izak?
I'm here. I just put off my camera because of the overheating of my system here.
Okay, that's fine.
If you can hear me, I can give a contribution.
Yeah, no, we can hear you. Leave it like that. That's fine. I'll put the painting where you normally sit. Okay, so Izak, I've got a comment here from Jan van Riebeck who says, if Boerelegioen do have caps, I will bid £20 for one. So I don't know if you have caps, Izak.
Yeah, we have caps and we even have berets, and he can put in his order.
Okay, now JVO, if you could speak to Marlena about that, because she has direct contact with Izak by cell phone. All right, now let's go through some more of the questions we've got here. Fiona Timms asked both of you, how did such a small minority of whites rule so successfully for so many years? What is the defining thing that allowed them to do that? I'll start off with you, Hein.
Just one thing. Competence. That's all. It's competence, because what's the other side of competence? Incompetence. Yeah. We've seen incompetence the past 26 years, day by day by day.
And I think the history, I want to add on what Hein is saying, is that we have a history. Our people, our forefathers worked extremely hard. I even take my grandparents who grew up in Kanaliland and Neilersdrift and that area next to the Orange River. Those were the first people there, and they started to work the lands there. And today, the Orange River around Uppington and Neilersdrift and Kanaliland and Kakamas is the the agricultural hub of South Africa. Less than a month ago, I drove through that area where my dad grew up, and he told me the extreme conditions they had to work as children in that land. They grew lucerne and they grew grapes and everything, and they worked the land with their hands and donkeys and manual implements and stuff like that. And today, if I look back less than 80 years back in history, those people worked their asses off to build a country. And we as a new generation cannot let that slip through our fingers and allow this thugs to govern us and to lower our standards and our aesthetical value of which we created in our towns and around our towns.
Right. Okay. Now, Johan Hatting has asked, please ask Izak and Hein, are they willing to speak to the Suidlanders to join them? I think I'll start with Izak on this one. Izak?
Scott, yeah, no, I know that Hein is in contact with several safety groups and self-defense groups, and that's good. At the end, he's the nodal point of communication and cooperation and planning operations and what is going to transpire in heading for secession. And we know that in heading for secession or independence in South Africa or wherever we are going to create independence for ourselves, is not going to be without the potential of conflict. We are already seeing the conflict, and the more the merrier. And even if I told my wife the other day, I want to climb in my car and go and visit Wynand de Toy and have a discussion with him, because I think idea. we have much more in common than we are in difference. And the group who want to subtract or withdraw or want to go to a certain place where they want to regroup, that's good. But we who decides to stay behind and form commandos and self-defense unit to stand our ground, we will appreciate their support at some point in time for them to come back and assist us when there is total anarchy.
Yeah.
So my point of view, and that's the vision of the Boerelegioen, is that the Boerelegioen is only an organization to set an example of discipline and organized methodology and military discipline as an example for other people who are afraid to be associated with the military.
Yeah.
And I know for many years that we have the right to form a military leg for the white minority in South Africa. They cannot touch us if we stay on the right side of the law. And that is what we are doing. As long as there's a thin blue line which makes the distinction between anarchy and peace, we will abide by the laws of this country. But I can guarantee you, when that thin blue line is diminished and disappears, then it's the clash of the clans, and then we have to be ready.
Right. Now, I should just say to everybody listening to this now and later, the real elephant in the room here is you've got the leader of the economic freedom fighters basically able to say what he likes, and he's stirring up his supporters and really pushing South Africa into a very dangerous place. And all you've got here, you're listening to tonight, are two leaders who are saying, hey, you know, if the line is crossed, we need to be ready. We don't want to be victims in a genocide, which makes perfect sense. Now, I want to go back to you, Hein. We asked that question about Suidlanders. What are your thoughts there with working with Suidlanders?
Scott, I want to use exactly 15 seconds to just say something before I answer you.
Go ahead.
I'm sitting here. It's different. It's different when it's only the two of us. Izak is also there, and I'm listening to what he's saying. I'm sitting, I've got goose bumps my whole body over. Does the people realize and hear what we are discussing here? Do they realize the severity and the importance and the reality of the situation in South Africa? Leave that as a rhetorical question, because I don't think a lot of people realize the situation that we are in. To answer you on your question, I think it was about 2 months ago, Gustav Miller phoned me and asked me, can we officially make a video? Can we announce that the Suidlanders work with the ULA? And well, obviously I said, yes, we do it, because, you know, to us, remember one thing, the ULA is a legal process, but we're a legal process for all the people, the minorities, for everybody. Doesn't matter if you agree with us or don't agree with us. I would actually like to hear intelligent, seems as if that's very difficult nowadays to get, but intelligent reasons why people don't agree with a secession movement that have been successful in the world 193 times already. So to answer your question, yes, we work with the Suidlanders. There are many groups that we work with. Unlike the organizations in South Africa that when they do anything, it goes onto social media to get more people to either vote for them or pay more dues to them every month. To us, we are happy to know that the Boerelegioen supports it. So Suidlanders supports it. We don't have to scratch each other's backs. It's not necessary, because we are not doing what the Boerelegioen is doing, and the Boerelegioen is not doing what we are doing.
Exactly.
But we are basically supporting each other, and that is the bottom line. We've got to understand that we are a very big minority, the majority in those areas, that need each other. It's as simple as that. So yes, officially that video went out about 2 months ago, that Gustav and myself made a video, unfortunately, because he was in Van der Kloof and I'm in Hartenbos. So I made a short video, he made a longer video, and put it out to say that we work together and we support each other at the end of the day, that basically that we're not enemies. That's the bottom line.
Right. Okay, now Gordon Blues has said, if it came down to the ULA, which part of the country is Hein referring to? Surely not all of it. Now, I've got that image, which I'll just put on the screen so people can see that again. The coloured area is the area that would be going under UDI, or Unilateral Declaration of Independence, if civil war broke out in South Africa. Am I correct in saying that, Hein?
Yeah, again, I can't see the map, but I'm sure that you're using a map. So yes, that's the area. And again, I must make it clear, that's the area that we will declare a unilateral declaration of independence on. But like I said earlier, if any area feels that they want to be part of that, then they've got to basically include themselves by taking charge and control of the area, because that is basically the description of how you do it. You've got to be in charge and control of your area.
Right. Okay. Now, I'm just talking to people watching. We've got about 1,500 watching at the moment. Guys, please remember to subscribe to the Loving Life channel. We have live streams most nights at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time. And please, there's this beautiful painting that's been auctioned tonight, and all the proceeds are going directly to help the farmers who are victims of the fires that are going on in the Free State. And Marlene will tell you more about that. Okay, so I've got a question here for Izak. Dagbreker asks Izak, is General Izak also communicating with Colonel FRNZAJJ from the Commando Corps?
We are not in a daily discussion. We are not speaking that regularly. But at least Colonel Jooste phoned me when I was ill in hospital, and he wished me good luck and a fast recovery. And yes, we are not in opposition with the Commando Corps. We are not in opposition with any safety group. I must state that since we started the Boerelegioen, almost 20 different organizations emanated from the Boerelegioen with exactly the same vision, with exactly the same mission, and with exactly the same way of doing. Creating a military structure under command and control, training people, and allowing them to become part of a family, a bigger family where we work together with organizations striving for self-determination to create a safe environment. And that is our vision, is to in the near future establish in every town in South Africa a historic town. The action groups that will balance out the state forces. In other words, we want a balance between the state forces and the civilian forces so that we can talk to each other on the same level. When the colonel of the Boerelegioen goes to the police station and he talks to the colonel of the police, there's no difference in rank. There's mutual respect, and they know that the Boerelegioen are representing the white minority group in town, in the city, in the precinct, in the rural community, so that there can be a joint strategy on the table in terms of a joint operational center where strategies can be discussed and put on the table in order to safeguard our communities. And by saying that, we need in South Africa to lift the standard of the aesthetical values of our town, especially the CBDs. Right. I spoke on Senekal the other day and I told them, it's a shame that we as the white people, the descendants of the Europeans, allowed the deterioration in the CBD of Pretoria to deteriorate in the manner it did the past 25 years. In Europe, you will never see that. Those people are honoring their history. They are honoring the value of the historic buildings in their cities, and they are sustaining them. Hulle onderhou daardie. And we did nothing. We did nothing the past 25 years. We left it in the hands of the terrorists of the ANC to look after our buildings, which our forefathers created, which our forefathers built and developed in South Africa. And in every town, there's a similar type of situation going on. The CBDs became hellholes where criminals, drug dealers, prostitutes are flourishing. In my town, in Witbank, my neighboring town, there's even old houses with Cape Dutch building styles that is now inhabited or what do you call it, but oorgevat is deur prostitute. Oh, wow. And I don't know why did we allow that, and we have to go back, safeguard our community, take control over safety and security in our historic towns.
Right. Now, Antoinette Leroux has asked, could Hein please tell us how many mandates we have at the present moment for secession?
Antoinette, it varies obviously because they come on, but it's about 334,000, and I've got to make this very clear. It's 334,000 verifiable mandates, not mandates sucked out of our thumb like, yeah, let's not go into that. We know that our mandates must be audited one day, so we can't just try and pull the wool over people's eyes. So those are the real figures. Plus, on top of that, I must make it very clear, it's way, way, way too slow and too little. Why we don't get the message out to enough people, I don't understand. Perhaps we are fishing in the same ponds all the time, but it's going too slow. But then again, in the same sense, if something like Senekal happens this week, it suddenly is picked up again. So that to me shows it's not the same ponds. It shows to me there are many people that just haven't voted yet, but that are either too lazy or don't believe in it, or I don't know. I can't tell you why it goes so slow. All I know is that for us to go and say, like some other organizations, that they've got 500 plus thousand, which they literally got in a couple of months, according to them. Nothing is impossible, but at least we can say we've got to verify ours through auditors once we get to a referendum or something, because that's international norm and law that it must be.
Right. Now, if you guys have got any more questions to put to Hein or Izak, please put them in the side chat. I'm going to be wrapping up the live stream shortly. I just want to pull up the painting, because this is probably your last chance to put a bid on for it. I think, according to Jan van Riebeck, the current bid is 5,000 Rand. Now, the winning bidder will be paying that money to help the farmers get feed. We're talking about the farmers in the Free State who've had those devastating fires. So it's going for a great cause. So if you want to put a bid in for 100,000 Rand, if you got the money, do it. We'll accept that. And that money goes directly to BOERE Droogtehulp, who are providing the feed to farmers who've been absolutely devastated by the fires. So please feel free to do that, guys. But we're running out of time. I will be wrapping up shortly. Okay, now I've got a question for. I'm going to put this to Hein first. Then I'm going to put it to Izak. Sina van Rensburg, he talked about these times. He talked about a black government. He talked about the absolute despair that the Boere folk would go through. And then he talks about the man in the brown suit. So many people ask me, when is the man in the brown suit that Sina van Rensburg talked about going to be identified?
Scott, to start off with, that's my personal opinion. Firstly, I don't think we've got to take it literal.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be brown. It can be black or blue. Exactly. And then my answer to the question of a leader is, why doesn't the people open their eyes? That's my answer.
Right. Okay.
People don't want to see, Scott. People don't want to see what is going on around them. People don't want to see, call it leaders. People want to live in this dream of, call it La La Land if you want to. But the point is, they don't want to see the reality of what's going on around them. How many more leaders do they really want? See that as a rhetorical question, please. Yeah. So my answer to him is very simple. Just start looking around you. Just start looking at what is happening. Just start looking at the reality of what is happening. Forget about a brown suit, because that's another problem. And that just proves my point. How many people nowadays walk with brown suits? You know, we are actually, and if I say we, a lot of people of us make the jokes and say when there's some kind of a gathering, we're going to make money because we're going to start selling brown suits. Because everybody wants to have a brown suit on. Everybody wants to be the leader. But the reality is, there are people standing up. There are people that are leading. Start following. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Izak, you want to respond to that question?
I fully agree with what Hein said. You know, the people are so focused on the visions of Sina van Rensburg that they are blinded by the reality. The reality is that there is lots of initiative going on at this moment in time. There's lots of leaders standing up, trying to do something, and we have to honor that. My point is that as long as the people, the citizens, the white minority, keep their focus on the man in the brown suit, everything that is emanating that is good, coming from good leadership in South Africa, is passing them. And those are also the guys who are dividing the people, the normal people. Those are also the guys who are putting in Afrikaans sê ek, hulle dryf 'n wig tussen groeperinge in. And those are also the guys who are creating an atmosphere which allows the enemy to laugh at us. And we are, at this point in time, the laughing stock of Black South Africa, of the hostile organizations. Julius Malema has got the arrogance to tell from a stage the white man to know his place. He will meet them toe to toe. You know, way back in the early 1900s, something like that would have created immediately a strafcommando and people would have sorted them out. And we are living in fear as a result of division in our midst. And we have to bear in mind that there is a prophet, a Boer prophet. It's good to know that he prophesied and what he prophesied became reality. But we mustn't make our daily lives trying to make sense of where in that timeline we are now. What we have to focus now on is, firstly, to become a strong force again. Secondly, to survive, because there's a genocide on our doorsteps, just waiting to take place. And as long as we are going to focus on the man in the brown suit, we are going to miss the metaphorical reference of Siener van Rensburg to a man in a brown suit, and that might just be an army, a body of people,
Right.
who are marching towards freedom. And ons moet nie die metaforiese, we must never leave out the metaphorical meanings of the visions and take it up literally. What I know is that we are a believing folk. We believe in the true God of the Bible, the God, the creator of heaven and earth, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are believers in his son, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Other people call him Yeshua Messiah. But we all know that he's the one who already 2,000 years back created freedom for us. And all we have to do is stand up and take up the freedom that was provided for us on the cross at Golgotha 2,000 years back. And we have to start to live again, and we have to become a unity, a God's army standing up against evil, because at the end, it's a war between evil and light.
Yeah. Okay, now just for those watching, the reason you can't see Izak is because his phone overheats, so he's actually got his video off. He had his video on for most of the live stream. All right, I've got two final questions I'm going to put to you guys, and then we'll wrap up the live stream. I see we've now got a bid of 6,000 Rand for the painting. That's great stuff, guys. Well done. Well done to Bad Company, who's got the top bid at the moment. Now, Set Apart says, thank you for what you're doing from down under. You're instrumental in many ways of bringing people together. True leaders are servants, and you have two great leaders here. And yes, we do. We do have two great leaders here. Okay, now the final two questions, guys. Okay, this is directed at Hein. Peter Dutoy says, please ask Hein how Lesotho and Swaziland stayed independent from the borders of South Africa.
Well, Swaziland and Lesotho got their independence basically because that's what they wanted, apart from South Africa, because they weren't part of. You've got to look at the history of South Africa. In the history of South Africa, it was the Cape Province, then it was the Free State as a republic, and Natal with Transvaal as a republic. So Swaziland was never part of it, and Lesotho was never part of it. So in terms of the international community, when they wanted independence, it was very simple. Nobody ruled those areas except the indigenous people there. So when they wanted it, they got it. That's basically what happened. They were never part of South Africa.
Right. Okay, and the final question that we have is, James Bowie says, and I'm going to put this to both of you. He says, at what point is enough enough? And when do we stand up and start pushing back? I'll put this to, I'll put it to you first, Hein, and get Izak to wrap it up.
Well, we're there. That's exactly what we said last Friday. Enough is enough. We've had it. This is the whole question. You know, somebody asked earlier about the man in the brown suit and who's the leaders and this and that. When you stand up and you make a stand, then you also attack. Luckily, I don't care about that. From my point of view, and I'm sure that Izak will agree with me, we said enough is enough. This is it. We've had it. We're not talking anymore. We are not begging anymore. Because at the end of the day, what the ANC government does not understand, and what they forgot, funny how quickly they forget, is that the ANC government of today, the ANC party, they never won South Africa back with all the nonsense that they're saying now with attacks and bombing civilians. It was the international community, ANCs, that got you what you have got today, the whole of South Africa. That same international community is fed up with you, ANC. From our point of view, it's a shame to think that we are sitting here tonight for the how manyth time talking about a totally incompetent, corrupt, criminal government. That Izak has got to sit here and talk about forming armies and militias and whatever. And the president of this country does not even have the insight to say, whoa, what is happening in my country? I've got to look at this. I've got to talk to these people. No, because the arrogance is too high. The arrogance that they've showed earlier to say that the ANC will govern until Jesus comes, and if he comes, they'll kill him again. Isn't that fantastic? For us, yes, not for them. So believe me, enough is last Friday, or must I say, with the murder of that Horner guy, that was Brendan Horner, that was enough. We've had it. This is why we made a stand. This is why we've had a meeting for literally a whole weekend here at my place with the people, New Zealand, England, America, everybody. And then last Thursday the 15th, and why we went to Senegal. Guys, we are there. We've had it. We will now, if the police does not do their work, we will have to do it for them. But the funny thing is, we won't do it for them, we'll do it for ourselves.
Right. Okay, last word with you, Izak.
Yeah, Hein, you took out the words out of my mouth again, but yeah.
Do you want to put your camera on for the closing bit, Izak?
Yeah, I just hope my phone doesn't overheat again. Let's try. Yeah, what is transpiring in South Africa now is a manifestation of just what Hein said. That the president of South Africa, knowingly that the Boer people are mobilizing and they are fed up. And they are gaining momentum. We saw it since 2017 with 2018 with Black Monday. With the protest actions that emanated from there and resulted into Senekal 1, Senekal 2, that the Boer people are going to gain momentum. And good leadership will lead them into a war that they will never lose. And that is the facts. And all that we have to do is be there for our people. And regulating them and putting them under command and control and doing strategically what we need to do within the boundaries of the law. And then I can guarantee the people watching here and all the brothers and sisters out there that the enemy will run away. They will run away. And we just to stand firm, become a unity. And I can imagine if Senekal 2 was a march consisting out of 3,000 or 4,000 people. In my spiritual eye, I saw the red overalls rushing for the buses and running away from Senekal without us doing anything. There's strength in unity, and that's what my message is for the past 4 years. And my message will, this message, I will take it to my grave one day.
Right.
There's strength in unity. If we can have 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 trained officers, trained soldiers on a parade, we don't have to do anything but telling the people there how beautiful our country is, how we love our country, how we love our beautiful, beautiful places in South Africa. We don't have to do anything. The knee knobs of the Nebuchadnezzar of South Africa will start to shiver and they will run away. I can guarantee you. They don't know the Boere people. They don't know them. And they pay people to keep division and to keep us apart from each other. And I want the people to take note of this comment that I'm making. Stop listening to people who are sowing division and start listening to people with reason, with the ability to see what's going on in South Africa and the people who are providing solutions. But we have to go as one man and vote for self-determination as from today. 4 million people, 4 million brown people, 2 million Indian people. Go and vote for self-determination, because if we keep ourselves as separate minorities, we are going to die like flies under the tyranny of the Nguni government, and they are going to kill us. They are going to destroy us. We have to become a united folk.
Right. Okay. Now, just on that point you raised about the ULA mandate, remember it is linked down below this video in the description. You can see it there. All you do is click on that and you can put your mandate into the ULA. All right, I'm going to wrap this up now, guys. Is there just something you'd like to say in general to everybody watching, just as a final statement? Hein?
Okay. Well, firstly, again, Scott, to you, again, thank you for the opportunity to get not only the whole Senekal 2 story out, actually from people that were there, not sitting behind computers and keyboard warriors, but from the people that were really there. So thank you for that. And secondly, I'm glad to hear that there are people that are really interested, and we know how this works. 1,600 or whatever that were live is just the beginning. So again, this will grow, and a lot of people will listen to this, and it's very encouraging to hear and to see that our people are starting to wake up to the reality of the situation that we are in. And for that, I can only go on my knees, which I will, again, and thank God, because our time is not God's time, that people start realizing that we as a minority in this country, needs God's protection, needs God's guidance, and needs really God's help for us to not only protect ourselves, but to protect His people. Because as Christians, we are God's people. So I want to get this message out that people must understand we are only humans. We are nothing without God. And if we don't believe in Him, and if we don't go for our strength, our courage, our insight, our everything that we have to God, then there's nothing left for us. But I do believe, and I've said this today and yesterday, I do believe with what is happening in the world at the moment, and I'm talking about the whole world, with this whole New World Order thing, I do believe that South Africa will become the center in the world for Christians.
I think you're
And
right.
I don't want to go into the detail of that, but there's no country with a basis and the history and the strong base of belief in Christendom. And I'm not talking about churches, I'm talking about believing in Christ as Christians, that we will become the center. And I don't think that will happen in 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 years. I think we are on the brink of God's plan of having a country where His people can really live in freedom, prosperity, well, and how does the American thing says, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you, Scott.
You're very welcome, Hein, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Izak, is there a final statement you'd like to make for everybody watching?
Scott, once again, thank you. You were supporting the Boerelegioen over the past few years already, and we appreciate that from the bottom of our hearts. The platform that you created for us also to make our statements and to call up our people and to deliver the messages, not only to the South Africans, but also to the international communities, the expats out there who have interest in South Africa and who are watching with a hawk's eye what is transpiring in South Africa. And what is very important for me to close this message by is that we symbolizes, the Boerelegioen symbolizes the boere op hulle knieë, and that is what we are doing. And we are seeing it manifesting at every protest action, where the people first go on their one knee and pray to the Heavenly Father for strength, for help, and for power from the heavens to assist us in fighting this war. Because, as we correctly said earlier, we are already in a war. At this moment, it's more a spiritual war, but it's on a daily basis manifesting into also a physical war. And many thousands of our people are living in fear of being attacked by faceless murderers. And we as Boer people have to keep the momentum of protesting, because that is who we are. As Protestants and Christians, we have a legal obligation to go into protest and to resist unrighteousness and to resist evil. Even if the government is evil, we have to resist it. I don't say we have to take them over. God will allow us to rule as righteous people once more if we are gehoorsaam. As ons gehoorsaam is aan sy roepstem om op ons knieë te kom, hom aan te roep, sy leiding te vra en te doen wat hy vir ons vra om te doen. Dis 'n klein offer wat ons bring. As ons vra dag op by 'n hofsaal, klim julle motorkar, start julle lorries, kry julle planters en julle ploë en goede saam. Kom ons maak die strate toe. Let us go in our getalle to protest actions. Since Senekal, 4 new victims of murder emanated. So those court cases will come up. White River is coming up. If we make a call, let us establish local structures that can coordinate effectively those protest actions. And we go there with a message, a clear message, that enough is enough, until such time that we receive the sign to march towards our freedom, to call a parade, wherever that parade might be. But I know for sure that God will give the sword in our hands to take back that belongs to us as a minority group.
Okay, fantastic. Look, I want to thank both of you guys. I mean, you are two really amazing leaders. I am absolutely thrilled that Eendracht maak Macht is now, you know, such an obvious thing that's happening. It's fantastic that you're all coming together, and I'm absolutely delighted. I just want to turn briefly to the side chat. Thanks to the moderators for the great job that you've done. I think Bad Company is the winner of the painting. 6,000 Rand will certainly help buy some feed for the livestock in the Free State. So that's a great situation. I just want to thank everybody who's joined us tonight. We've still got close to 1,300 people watching, and we've been going for 2 hours, so that's a great turnout. We did get up to about 1,700 again, Hein, so we kind of touched what you did the other day. But please remember to subscribe to this channel, because we do have really interesting live streams on every night at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time. And with that, I'm going to shut down the live stream. And once again, in closing, thank you so much, Hein. Thank you so much, Izak. It's been a pleasure to have you both on.